It's been multiple episodes since I yappa but despite having all that time, I still don't know what to do. I've been exploring the internet, and I've been learning all kinds of new things. Did you know I can apparently redraw stuff now? It's a very weird thing. I should start a scanlation group sometime, but I'm getting ahead of myself. Most importantly, I have not finished my training. I still have a long way to go on the podcast, I'm hoping. It's called Don't Know What to Do. Your your favorite Ranma podcast, as I'm sure you're aware as you read this letter. Um I I hope that you're imagining my voice correctly in your head as I transcribe this by hand. And that is me, of course, Elena slash Hedgie. I've also got a second person here. I'm going to start writing what they say right now. Imagine they're the ones talking.
Hi, I just want to know if this is Hedgie or Ryoga's spirit talking, because it seems like you're very lost. Maybe somewhere in Shanghai, maybe somewhere in Malaysia, or maybe you're back in Japan. I don't know.
I could be anywhere.
You could be
Really.
anywhere, right? And I just want to let you know you missed your training or the fight, whatever, by like a week and a half, and whatever that I brought to quail our argument has been spoiled rotten, just like the sandwich breads that you hated me over so long ago.
Ah, dang it.
There we
I
go.
knew something was wrong. This is... I'll just do this intro because it's Ryoga, but this is also a very fitting tangent. Because, like, from our end, the last time we recorded was, like, almost a month ago now. But due to the schedule I have set up for this podcast, like, the listeners will have just heard you
No,
in the previous
they
episode.
wouldn't know. They think we have a studio set up somewhere and we do this by like in person. It's really like proper and prime and like we had the whole schedule set up. They didn't know that like a month and then a bunch of other things happened between then. They couldn't tell.
I just like, I'm now having this mental image of like, yes, that last, like, interaction we had like a week ago, and it's like, that was a month ago. Hedgie, why are you so late?
Yeah, and it's not like I got a pay raise and like I did my friends moving to like across the country and other stuff. Nothing that happened. It's just another episode whenever it releases.
Yes. Some listeners might get from this intro, we're talking about Ryoga today, and I'm really excited to get to this because something I noticed is that some people listening are not that familiar with Ranma. I've literally had people on this show that have not watched Ranma yet before coming on, and like there's a lot that you might not know about, and hopefully by this point, I've educated people on some of the more basic elements. And I find it interesting because I noticed that Ryoga doesn't come up in conversations very much. I have not mentioned him barely at all, despite the fact that he's like arguably the most important rival, which is why I'm starting with him.
I would say the second rival, if you count Akane as a love interest and a rival.
Yeah, I've mentioned the categories of characters where, like, I split the main cast between the family and the rivals, because those are two different roles. There's Akane. We've had episodes discussing the sisters and the dads. That's the family. The family is always
I see.
present.
Right.
But the main distinction I made for the rivals is the fact that the rivals are pretty much only around when they're the main focus. This is a shampoo episode, so she's going to be here, and then as soon as the episode's done, we're not going to see her again until the next shampoo episode.
Right.
That's my distinction
sense
between the two. And like, Ryoka's interesting because I feel he has perhaps the most overlap between those two categories. In more ways than one. For one thing, he literally lives in the same house as everyone else, as their pet pig when he transforms into the pig form.
Right.
He's their pet.
Technically a pet. Yeah.
He is literally a part of the family. Even though the show doesn't actually show that very much. More importantly, Ryoga will sometimes just show up. Mainly because one of his main gimmicks is that he's constantly getting lost, so it's really easy to have him just appear out of nowhere, literally out of nowhere, and now he's suddenly here. He has nothing to do with the plot, but he's present. And that became especially clear to me once I started making my notes, and I started realizing there's a lot fewer Ryoga episodes than I thought. He's like he's always around. He's got a constant presence. Again, like you called him second after Akane. Akane's
Yeah,
like the primary main character after Ranma, meaning of the entire cast. You're basically putting Ryoga as like the third most important overall.
I mean, depending who's
Um,
writing Rama, it could be the main love interest if we're going by the dojins. But yes, he's constantly around, so it's kind of weird that he's just like kind of scooched over to the backside. And then we got some quirky like ox fighting snake. What was it, the goose or something? I forgot that one.
yeah, the Yeti riding an ox while carrying a crane and
Yep,
eel
yep, that
guy.
one. Yep, and then
That one.
that guy just keeps showing up now, time and time again. And then Ryoga's just lost in a jungle in like Brazil or something.
Yeah, like I noticed Ryoga has like multiple types of like Ryoga episodes, and like I said, there's fewer than I thought because he's around so often. But like I said, when Shampoo is present, she's the main focus. There's like almost no exceptions, except for ones where the entire cast is present. You pretty much never get an episode where Shampoo is just hanging out and she's suddenly roped into this plot that has nothing to do with her. Whereas with Ryoga, that happens all the time. There'll be a thing happening and Ryoga just happens to be present and now he's tagging along for whatever weird shenanigans are happening. We're like, oh, we need to break into the girls' dressing room because there's a thing buried underneath and Ryoga's here, so he gets roped into those shenanigans.
Right.
Um, as far as like things that are about Ryoga, I feel like at least early on in the series, most episodes focusing on Ryoga tend to be like about his rivalry with Ranma. And like if I were to describe him in one sentence, the word rival would be in there somewhere. So to me, I think like despite the fact that he's always present, there are multiple facets to Ryoga. I think his presence as a rival, like not just any rival, but like the rival who is like the eternal like butting heads with Ranma guy. That seems to be his most prominent feature.
I mean, also his design's kind of like Rama without the pigtail.
Yeah,
Yeah, there's a lot of similarities between both of them. It's just, I think it's more like Rama's more like the how you say, like the cushier like city, more like casual outfit, and while Ryoga has these like mountaineer camping like outdoorsy type since he's always traveling.
yeah, like even their designs. Like if you were to just look at pictures of the characters, you could probably guess that Ryoga is a main rival just from the way he's drawn. And like I find that interesting because, like, look at the other rival characters. Their main defining traits are like, well, Shampoo is Chinese, and she's also like an Amazon warrior. Tatawaki Kudo, age 17, he's a kendo expert. Also, he's rich. Moose is a concealed weapons expert. But like Ryoga doesn't really have much of a like in-universe gimmick. Like he doesn't have a specific weird fighting style. And he doesn't seem to have much of a background. It's just his personality. But like we don't really learn much about like his home life, what he does outside of being Ranma's rival. That's basically what he is. He is Ranma's rival. And in a series where Ranma gets multiple rival characters, both in terms of like martial arts and also romantic rivals, Ryoga is still like definitively the main one. That's how he's introduced.
Is he kind of like the anti Rama, where his like his fighting style is kind of like the second, the other face of the coin to Rama, where he would find some ancient martial technique and then use it against him, and then Rama has to, dig deep down, and then also ask like the other like grandmaster like across town to how to beat Ryoga with his like, it's not the coin one. It's the one where he's really sad, and then he uses sadness to like bring
Yes, the Shishi Hokadan. I forgot what that
Shihihoka
translates to. Some of these move
something sad.
names,
Yeah,
I never bother learning their translations because some of them are like purposely long names. Like it's meant to be a goofy parody of martial arts
yeah.
movies and names.
Quick aside. The There was a really short, I think it was like 4 chapters long arc about Shampoo. I think it was her introduction arc where she erases the memory of Akane, and then
Yes.
like it was in, I think, Mandarin. It was something something style, and then I broke down the translation. It's just like wash hair. I wash your hair, and then I'm gonna tell you about it or something like that. It was really like it was really childish.
Yeah, there's a lot of names like that.
It's in a foreign
There's a lot of
language.
names.
That makes sense. Yeah,
It's always fun to see what the like whatever language you speak, what they localize them as, because they're
yeah,
usually some kind of pun or really hyper descriptive thing that's like referencing something. Like the English version really lucked out by having Ranma's first signature move be about chestnuts roasting on an open fire. That one just wrote itself.
I mean,
Um,
sometimes the stars align. Sometimes you're gonna have to dig through Google Translate to kind of break down the translation.
Uh, but yeah, like as you
Yeah,
mentioned, like a lot of Ryoga's fighting involves him just sort of randomly picking up moves, which is kind of how Ranma learns
yeah,
fighting styles. Ranma's whole thing is the anything goes school of martial arts. Ranma is not really an expert at any one particular thing. He improvises. He will get in situations where he will be forced to master something he's never done before. And I feel Ryoga kind of does the same thing. He is
right.
technically not part of that school, but in terms of like his actions and his attitude and how he progresses throughout the series, Ryoga is absolutely doing what in universe you could call anything goes martial arts.
Well, I also want to say in canon, it seems like Ryoga and Rama are pretty much at the same level of strength. Ryoga in the beginning, in his introduction, seems, oh, he's like Rama, but he's just a little slower, but definitely stronger. And by later on, he's like, Rama's definitely like got the edge on Ryoga, just for how the story progresses, because we need Ryoga to find like some hidden martial art and some hidden
Yeah.
strength, and to completely trounce Rama so he can level up or, you know, progress the story or whatever.
Yeah, and because he is a rival, Ryoga's pretty much the only character that actively tries to keep up with Ranma. Like, after Shampoo is introduced, we don't really see her fight very much. Like, she'll show up to, like, fight with everyone else when they have a big obstacle that they all have to team up against. But, like, there aren't a lot of situations where Shampoo is behaving like a martial artist. You kind of get the impression that she doesn't actually care about fighting. Most of the time she's on screen, she's focused on like winning over Ranma with like weird traps or schemes or magical artifacts. She doesn't do a lot of fighting. And then there's other characters like say Moose or Tatewaki Kuno who like they're introduced and they're pretty strong, but because we never really see them getting stronger, they inevitably succumb to power creep. Ryoga's the only one that like they acknowledge he is getting stronger alongside Ranma. There's literally a point where like Ryoga shows up to fight Ranma, and Ranma's like, "Hey Ryoga, did you get weaker?" And Cologne has to be like, "No, Ranma, you got stronger. Ryoga has to train now to catch up with you."
Right.
And so like, yeah, I find that interesting because Ryoga has no specific style. Like when he's first introduced, he's doing punches and kicks, but he's also like throwing his bandana. He's using that umbrella of his. Like, what is even his theme?
His
What is
like
he doing? These
180-pound stone umbrella that just like can just demolish cement blocks and like telephone poles and whatever he throws it at.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, and he never even explains where he got that from.
No,
You get the
yeah.
impression that these are just things he finds. He's just like, oh, this looks useful. I'm going to start carrying it around
It's
as a
also
weapon.
funny to note, or interesting to note, Rama in girl form was able to just like carry that umbrella and then just kind of use it as a like, what was it, a parasol? Just kind of like a
Yeah,
yeah, yeah. So I was like, wait, so you're saying that Rama can also carry this umbrella with ease in a weaker, like in girl form, where he is physically weaker, uh, and carry
yeah.
Akane at the same time.
Even
Yeah,
yeah, even in girl form, they demonstrate that Rama is still absurdly powerful. We're still stronger than everyone else. Like that umbrella, like it exists for one purpose, and that's to show off how strong Ryoga is.
yeah.
So
It's
they can have the moment where like it smashes a telephone pole, and then like some student from the school tries to pick it up. And it's like, this thing weighs a ton. How is that guy just throwing it?
it's the
Like
training
it's
wheels from
nothing.
Rock Lee. Oh yeah, it just
Yeah, absolutely. That is the purpose it serves, and I guess it looks cool to like carry on his backpack, so he carries it with him throughout the rest of the series, even though he only uses it like two more times after that. Because, yeah, that's Ryoga's fighting style. Just whatever comes to mind, whatever he stumbles upon, I can use this. He doesn't seem to have a particular theme. When we're introduced, we're shown that, like, he's very, like, he's got a terrible sense of direction. He's kind of dumb. But compared to everyone else who are, like, kind of these, like, archetypes, the proud Amazon warrior, the pretty boy rich guy, the rich lady with the ha 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 that kind of laugh.
oh yeah, I
They
love
all
that one.
have these
Yep.
like they all have these like personality types. But Ryoga's personality type is rival. That seems to be it. He exists to be the guy that hates Ranma and wants to beat him, and they are now eternal rivals, permanently bonded in this never-ending fight to try and surpass each other, even though it's constantly the butt of the joke that Ranma doesn't seem to care.
Isn't Ryoga also not traditionally a martial artist? He's just some guy who met Rama, didn't like him, and spent the rest of his what we know as the rest of his days just chasing Rama down to the ends of the earth and trying to challenge him in a fair
Yeah,
martial arts fight, even though he's not even trained in any martial arts beforehand.
yeah, we're given no insight about like Ryoga's personal life or stuff before he met Ranma. We don't know if he even ever had any training of any type. We don't even know how he trains in the series. He just kind of leaves and then comes back at, his experiences of constantly getting lost. Like, who knows where he ends up or what kind of weirdos he encounters. That just inherently makes him stronger. But he doesn't seem to, like, do any proper training. We never see him go to, like, a dojo or learn from anyone specific. He's not. Yeah, you're right. He doesn't really seem like a traditional martial artist. I think he's just naturally strong. And like his pure motivation is not like a passion for fighting. He wants to beat Ranma for a personal grudge. As far as we know, when he challenged Ranma to that first fight, he literally had zero experience with martial arts. He's just so inherently strong that he'll just do whatever. This guy makes me mad. I'm going to punch him. And who knows? Maybe he's encountered multiple people this way, and Ranma's just the first person to like survive that. And Ryoga can't just punch this guy and be done with him. He actually has to get good at fighting if he wants to teach Ranma a lesson.
He's Nathan Drake. He's just a brawler. He'll throw fisticuffs. He'll kick a little bit, but he doesn't really know what he's doing. He just knows that deep in his heart he has to win because this guy sucks, and he stole my sandwiches back when I was in primary school or whatever.
Yeah. And like I find this interesting because I said that like that is his archetype despite the fact that like in universe there's nothing really noteworthy about Ryoga. That's just the archetype we expect of like the rivals. But then at one point I looked it up. So like Ryoga's introduction in the manga when that first came out. Let's say you're some kid going to the bookstore, you're looking at the magazines, you get your copy of Weekly Shonen Sunday And then right next to that, you can also get a copy of Shonen Jump and read about Goku fighting King Piccolo. You can read about Joseph Joestar fighting the Pillar Men. Like, we haven't even gotten to Stardust Crusaders yet. Vegeta won't exist for like at least another year. Like when Ryoga was introduced, like certainly the concept of these like martial arts rivalries existed, but it wasn't treated as like the cliche that it is now. It wasn't expected from the genre. This absolutely feels more like it's lifting from martial arts films rather than being a staple of, shonen anime in general. So, like, at the time, the idea of, I just really, really hate Ranma and I will beat him no matter what, that's almost novel?
I I know like we since Rama is such it is dated by this point, but there was also I don't know if you're familiar with this, the delinquent manga type. Do you know anything about this? Yeah,
Yes.
the delinquent manga, like not archetype, but like the as a whole genre of itself, like the classic Crows. I forgot the other names, but High School Bebop, and then there's a couple more, but it's the usually one strong guy or a group of strong guys, and then they're not really strong, but they just fought so much as kids. Now they kind of through training they kind of became strong. Rama's kind
Yeah.
of you can just squint your eyes. It's kind of like that with also really weird, wacky martial arts and a whole like love pentagram and like marriage routes and whatever. But you can see like Rama's kind of just doing his thing, and then he's doing it in some way that might piss some people off. And then Ryoga is just the other guy, down the hall or from the rival school who's like, "Hey, I heard you're pretty strong, and also you did this one thing to slight me. Now we're gonna fight forever."
Yeah, that is I feel like that is absolutely like the dynamic because like the anything goes school of martial arts. Like Ranma is like practitioner of maybe the scrappiest fighting style imaginable. Like literally spending most of his life training in the art of like I don't care, do whatever it takes to win, beat that guy. Not like Ranma is like honorable, he will adhere to rules and stuff, but you look at like his mentor figures and like the other previous practitioners of anything goes, and there is nothing honorable there at all. Like Genma, Happosai, even Son, none of them seem to have like any respect for martial arts beyond its mere existence. Like martial arts is good, but to us, martial arts is just whatever the hell we have to do to survive. There's no like there's nothing artistic about it. This isn't like, again, look at like Tatewaki Kuno. He is a rich boy. He practices the art of kendo. It is a very like specific experience thing that you have to like practice and learn. And then you got these two boys who will just scrap it out for the dumbest of reasons. They'll just wrestle, they'll just punch each other
Oh yeah,
because they're teenage boys,
it's
you know?
it's delinquent manga pretty much to like the 50% mark. It's just you see someone down the hall. I don't like him. I don't know what. I just don't like him. And then you walk closer. You both kind of look at each other. It's with a little more spite each step, and then now you're fighting. And then you have a rival. That's how rivals start. And now he's
Yeah.
your lifelong partner till the day you die, fighting each other.
Yeah, literally, like, Ryoga seems to have two things he obsesses over throughout the series. One is his relationship with Ranma. The other is his relationship with Akane, which incidentally also has to do with Ranma. Ryoga didn't know that going in, but like him having a crush on Akane and constantly trying to win him over continues to put him in that position where he's constantly competing with Ranma. That maybe wasn't his intention. He seems to genuinely like Akane, but like everything about his existence revolves around Ranma and proving that he's better than him in some way. And it's just like that is what his life will be from now on. Like I don't know if Ryoga has the emotional intelligence to let go or stop caring about Ranma for like 5 minutes.
Yeah, actually that describes delinquent manga pretty well. There is like a main love interest or like a rival love interest kind of thing. So, well, not love, like it's just a rival, but you're pining for kind of like the prize, which is Akane in this situation, or you have someone you're trying to impress, which again is Akane in this case, and those two would forever fight each other. Reasons unknown. And both have their like different reasons. Rama would fight Ryoga just because he's in the way half the time, and he's like, "Oh, this seems kind of fun." This guy's
Yeah.
about as strong as me, and Ryoga would fight for the flurry of reasons whatever he's fighting. Either Rama pissed him off someday because he just stepped on him on the way to school, or he pushed or they had Akane and Rama had a fight, and then Ryoga saw it and disliked that, and now they're fighting again. It's real
Yeah.
simple reason. There's no like overarching like 50 arc episode describing like how these two characters are interacting. It's just they don't like each other and now they're fighting.
Like when Ryoga first shows up, Ranma literally doesn't remember him because this was such like for Ranma it was Tuesday.
It was
You
Tuesday.
know? This was just some guy from his old school that like oops like like I guess I should explain. I know this is like 10 chapters into the story. Most people familiar with Ranma know who Ryoga is, but also most people have not even read any Ranma. So, uh just for reference, like when Ryoga is introduced, the joke is that there's this really tough angry, like really feisty boy who is super upset. He hates Ranma. We see him traveling and getting lost as he tries to find out where Ranma lives and track him down. And we eventually find out he literally followed Ranma to China and only just now got back to Japan, still looking for him. And Ranma's like, I don't know who this guy is. I don't remember. Oops. And that just makes Ryoga more upset. And as we learn more and more, we learn that their history, which is basically just um when they were in school together, which again I find weird because that implies that Ranma stayed in one place long enough to go to school and like consistently meet up with Ryoga. I have no idea for how long. Uh, Given Ryoga's personality, for all we know, that entire flashback took place over the course of like 1 week. But basically, it was an all boys school. Every day during lunch, it's just a complete nightmare as all these boys are like fighting to get the last piece of good bread from the student store.
I would say
And
that's
every
pretty
day,
accurate for like any high school. Is the all the boys would fight for lunch just because one, I don't want to spend the rest of my life or the rest of my lunchtime waiting in line. I want to get my lunch, go eat it, and then hang out with my friends.
yeah,
Yeah,
I'd say
it's
Ranma
pretty accurate.
basically did the equivalent of like cutting in line, but like there wasn't even a line. It's just this crowd of boys trying to climb over each other to get to the front and get the last piece of good bread. And if you don't get one, too bad. We got the cheaper bread. You can go to the vending machine if you want, but that was the last yakisoba bread or whatever Ranma happened to get that day because it turns out this is again, I feel like Ryoga was maybe so strong that nobody has ever challenged him before. He is so strong that even though he's not trained in martial arts, if he wants to get to the front of the line, he'll get there. Ryoga's probably never had this problem before of, hey, some guy stole the last piece of bread before me. Usually if there was a situation like that, Ryoga could just take it for himself. No one's going to pose a threat against him. But now Ranma's here, and Ranma can get that last piece of bread. And now Ryoga is dealing with this extremely minuscule, minor slight. Like, again, it is the equivalent of like someone stepping on his shoes, but he takes it so personally.
This is how delinquent manga starts. It's the smallest of issues. would boil down to a lifelong rivalry because I don't like you when I looked at you and now you stepped on my shoe. Oh, it's on. Like it's over. You're going to hell with me.
Yes, throughout the entire introductory story arc with Ryoga, it's like Ranma is trying to remember who this guy even is. Because again, for Ranma, he jumped over like 20 other guys to get that piece of bread. He didn't think anything about Ryoga. Ryoga didn't stand out at all. He's just some guy in a crowd. But to Ryoga, this is the jerk that I must follow. And every time we just keep getting more and more flashbacks to like this one minor slight just keeps escalating where well Ranma got the last piece of bread once, so now Ryoga's gonna take it seriously. He's gonna challenge Ranma to a fight, but then Ranma wins and gets the next piece of bread, and this happens like 5 more times in a row until eventually Ryoga is so upset he challenges into a duel in the empty lot by his house, but because Ryoga is so dumb and bad at directions he gets lost on literally on his way to his own backyard. And when he gets there, Ranma's gone because it's 3 days late. And now he thinks that Ranma, like in his mind, Ryoga now thinks that Ranma is disrespecting him. I can't believe that jerk didn't even show up for the fight. I'm gonna get him for this.
It's
And it just
pretty.
keeps escalating.
It's also you mentioned Ryoga just was probably assumed as the strongest being next to Rama until he shows up, but there wasn't really a mention of that, right? It was just a mass of students, one of them being Ryoga, and Rama just decides to step over them to get the good piece of bread.
Yeah, given this setting, you never know. Like, one of those random boys could have been like a martial arts marble expert or like a martial arts photography guy. Like, there's all kinds of weirdos in this world, but I feel like Ranma has to have been the first one to actually pose a challenge to Ryoga. Otherwise, if there was someone before that, Ryoga would probably be obsessing over that guy.
I know I keep bringing up a delinquent manga, but this really seems like Rama and Rama, the manga could have been a delinquent manga if we just stopped it at there and without the
Yeah,
wacky hijinks. It's literally just high school boys fighting over each other over the dumbest things.
yeah, like I said, like the shonen anime rivalry is its own trope now. It has a specific unique flavor that we're accustomed to. But at this point in history, again, Vegeta doesn't even exist yet. Like, who is Goku having rivalries with? Like, Yamcha? Like, it's not the same. It's not treated the same way as far as these genres go. So, like, when Rumiko Takahashi, she's not really taking inspiration from other shonen mangas. She's taking inspirations from entirely different genres. Again, like actual martial arts films. Or, I didn't think of this comparison, but you're absolutely correct to point out delinquent mangas. Those are a genre I didn't really read, but they used to be a lot more popular back then
It
compared to
was
now.
it was blown up, I believe in the 60s and 70s due to blah blah blah, Japanese economic bubble, blah blah blah, the lower working class, blah blah blah, just young rebellious youths and punk culture, blah blah blah, and it has became like when we look at classics of today, those are parodies of the delinquent manga. If we look at like Stardust Crusaders, if we're talking about JoJo, Jotaro is the parody caricature of the delinquent manga, like
Yeah,
turned up to 10. And we're looking at this like, wow, he's so badass. But if we look at Jotaro in time frame, he is super corny. He has two belts on. He has like a half-ribbon hat. He wears a tank top under this long trench coat. He's a Joker character. But now that's like, that's like a Superman uniform. That's I don't know how to describe it. That's like the fighting uniform, or that's the gi or whatever that was back then.
yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah,
That's
nowadays you rarely see delinquent characters in anything that isn't like a high school rom-com or something.
yeah. It's
There's
me.
not as much stuff that like takes that trope seriously. Whereas here, it's like the joke is that this is very serious business for this high school boy.
And I don't know if Rama and a Half did take inspiration from mm, delinquent manga. Maybe just like initially by concept, but not anything further because this is not what the story is about. But just the rivalry, it doesn't. It seems off because like you said, every other character who is a rival of Rama has a martial arts background. There's something going on with was it Kuno practiced kendo, which is the Japanese martial art. Shampoo's a Amazon warrior, which is I don't know what Amazon warriors fight in China or what kind
She,
of
she
fighting
she
style.
doesn't she doesn't have much of a fighting style. Like I said, after her introduction, we don't see her fight very much, which is
Yeah,
unfortunate.
Moose is the weapons guy, and then
Yeah.
other people have like specific martial arts or a joke
Yeah,
martial art.
martial arts gymnastics,
Right.
something weird or goofy.
But Ryoga in conception is straight hands. He fights, he kicks, and he throws stuff, and he uses his environments around him, and it's just a street brawl when he meets up with Rama. There's no specific fighting style until later, where whatever he picks up or learns. But in conception, he's just trying to fight this guy. He's just trying to brawl.
Yeah, I've compared like their two fighting styles. It's like Ranma is very floaty. He's very aerial. When he dodges, he does a bunch of like jumps and bending over.
Right.
Whereas Ryoga's more of just like a big powerhouse juggernaut. Like he will charge forward and will just destroy whatever. Ranma is the type of person who will like do backflips to get over a fence, whereas Ryoga will just break the fence and charge through it.
And then somehow get lost and back on the other side.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, but like even their fighting styles, they're like polar opposites,
Right.
but also they're polar opposite versions of this very scrappy anything goes style. These are just two boys doing whatever to win. There's no specific theme, there's no like gimmick. Again, even when they learn new moves, it's not like there's a theme to them. Like Ryoga gets like two or three signature moves throughout the series. I don't think they have anything in common.
Yeah, it's just, well, what kind of funny shenanigans can we come up with? Oh, it's probably when we just make him like absolutely the strongest character for like the next 3 chapters, or what if we uses his depression to come like have a barrage of was it warm energy or is it cold energy? I can't remember. To just like
No, that's a different move.
that's a different
That's
move.
the like that's Rama's little like tornado attack.
Yeah,
Ryoga's is like just like it is. You have to channel feelings of despair.
right.
And like, yeah, those are the things that define Ryoga. There's no like consistency to them beyond his rivalry with Ranma. He'll do whatever, he'll follow whatever, he'll learn whatever. It always relates back to Ranma.
So what after Ryoga was like created? I don't I read I read a little bit of it and it just seems like he's just kind of there at this point. Like he kind of lost kind of reason because he did fought Rama and he did win like a couple times, but I don't really know what's his end goal. Is he just sticking around because Akane's there and he wants to potentially get closer, whatnot, or because
Yeah,
he kind of got what he wanted. Like we got the misunderstanding, like oh you're the guy who stole my last piece of bread. Here, I actually bought some for you as a makeup apology. And like that's not good enough. We're still gonna have to fight. Okay, we fought, but he's still hanging around. Like I'm still trying to get stronger than Rama. Like he doesn't
so
even go
I
back to
think
school.
yeah, no, he doesn't seem to go to
Yeah,
school. There's like a single chapter that acknowledges that he sometimes goes back to his house where his parents live, but for the most part, he's just wandering the wherever he ends up. Um, I feel like Ryoka keeps going through like a cycle. And I said before, he's like constantly present, but there aren't a lot of stories that focus on him. So let's look at the first two stories where he is the focal point. Let me see. Um, his first appearance was in chapter 10. That arc lasted until chapter 16. His next major storyline doesn't happen until chapter 51. But in between those times, of course, he is present. He is doing stuff within these other arcs. It's just he's not the main character of those arcs. He's just around. And so, I guess for these breakdowns, I like to think of what gets to the core of these characters. But for Ryoga, like I said, he has the most overlap between the rival and family characters. So I guess this time period within like the first 50 or so chapters is the best way to kind of exemplify what like his life cycle is. Because that introductory arc, he shows up, he establishes he hates Ranma so much and they're fighting and then midway through they accidentally cut Akane's hair. And that becomes the focus now. That's the big famous scene where now, like, her long hair is cut and she gets the new haircut that she has
Right.
for the rest of the series. And then it's just focus to her and her relationship with, like, her crush on Dr. Tofu, etc. I've talked before how, like, these early chapters, they're not really split up into arcs.
It's
There's no,
just
like,
yeah.
clean definitive end. Like, like, Ryoga's fight got interrupted, it didn't finish. We're just now on to the next thing with these overlapping storylines. And then eventually Ryoga comes back and we learn why the latest slight, which is the first one that's like, okay, maybe that is a bit too far, where we find out that he followed Ranma to China and then while he was there, Ranma, without even realizing it, like he didn't even, again, for Ranma, it was
It
Tuesday.
was Tuesday.
He accidentally pushed Ryoga into the spring of drowned piglet. And Ranma is just like, oh, I think I stepped on something, and didn't even realize there was a guy there. But for Ryoga, uh-oh, now he's a tiny baby pig in the middle of China. How the hell is he gonna get all the way to Japan?
And
Like,
also, how
he
am I going to change?
endured.
Yeah, like I bet he thinks that I'm a pig forever because no one. He fell into a pool and then doesn't know kind of the rules surrounding it. Like he just needs hot
Yeah,
water.
no one was there to
Yeah, no.
explain it to him. It probably took a while for him to figure out the rules.
And wait, actually, wait.
Uh,
I think he knew immediately because the what's the Chinese dude who's the caretaker of the
he never gets a name. He's just the guy.
yeah, he's the guy like tries to cook
Yeah,
Ryoga.
he tries to cook him
Yeah,
because he just thinks it's a wild pig.
yeah.
And
It's
then
like
eventually,
sweet.
while
Yeah,
like putting him, I don't know why this happens multiple times where someone tries to cook Ryoga by just shoving him into a pot of boiling water. They don't even try and kill the pig first,
yeah.
let alone gut it or anything.
It's like
Which,
that cartoon.
lucky him, it means he immediately changes back and it's like, oops. But still, that's like a fair moment where like Ryoga has no idea what's happening. These people are trying to eat him, and no one's explained to him what this transformation even is or if he can change back. And like, then of course, because he didn't know about the springs, he didn't know that Ranma turns into a girl and that his dad is a panda. So as far as Ryoga is concerned, these are two separate issues. Some weird mystery girl shoved me in the spring, but the only reason I was there is because of Ranma. Therefore, this is Ranma's fault. And then he
Yes,
sees Genma in panda form,
very
which
very narrowly.
I always love that joke because, like, we learned this in the bath. Like, this is after Akane finds this baby pig and adopts it as her pet, not knowing that it's Ryoga. And she's like, hey, Ranma, give this pig a bath. He's dirty. He's been out on the streets. And Ranma just dumps the pig in the hot bath, and Ryoga pops out. So, like, Ranma and Ryoga are just hanging out naked while this flashback happens, and we just get the joke where, like, the dad walks in on them and just like holds up a sign like, "Excuse me, I'll give you two some privacy." And just like Ryoga's like, "Wait a minute, was that a panda?" And just Ranma doing the cutesy girly face like, "Tee hee,
Yeah, oops, you found
whoops,
me out.
whoopsie doodles. I'm just a little girl. What do you want me to do?" And that sort of ends that arc. Like Ryoga gets turned into a pig. Rama's like, "That's Ryoga." Akane doesn't believe him. And now Rama's just like, "Fine, whatever." So for the next several arcs, Ryoga's just kind of around. He's just this pig that Akane adopted, and Ranma knows that that's Ryoga. I don't know why he doesn't tell anyone else. He just kind of accepts, like, fine, whatever, do whatever you want with that. This has nothing to do with me. As Ryoga then falls in love with Akane, because of course she thinks her pet Pichon is his baby pig, this helpless, defenseless pig, and is showering him with love and affection.
I mean,
So of course Ryoga loves that.
it is kind of weird. I mean, I actually, Shampoo was also like, she's a cat, but she's like a kitten, right? She's kind of smaller. She looks
Uh, she
like
looks
a
like a
kitten,
normal sized
like
cat to
that.
me. It's
Yeah.
hard to tell.
So it's kind of weird that Ryoga's a baby pig specifically, not like a
It's
boar.
I think it's like a teacup pig. I don't think
Yeah.
it's like a normal pig, but a baby. I think it's just a
Oh,
small
okay.
species of pig.
Yeah. That's
But
that.
like, it often gets translated to like piglet or something. It varies, but like, yeah, I think it's just a small pig. I don't think it's a specific baby pig.
Yeah, I thought it was
But
like, yeah, a like a baby pig. So I was like, that's kind of weird. That like every
yeah,
other like animal character is like, it's kind of like the normal like adult age of whatever, and then here's
yeah.
Peachon.
What
Yeah.
when I call him a baby pig, I mean in the same of like, Rama's just a baby boy. He's just an innocent little birthday boy. Don't get mad at him. Not like a
Oh, don't
literal
get mad at him.
baby.
Oh yeah, he didn't do anything wrong. Oh yeah.
Yeah, but like, yeah, so it is funny now that you mention it, like it only lasts for like half a chapter because Rama's scared of cats. But like Shampoo chips herself to Ranma's house as a cat. Like it almost implies she was gonna do what Ryoga's doing. Like she wanted to just be Ranma's pet cat. But that plan didn't work, so now she's just going back to being a girl. It's just interesting. This like, yeah, sure, I'll be your pet. Why not?
It's kind
Which
of
is which is
yeah.
what Ryoga does apparently.
I mean, if Rama was afraid of cats, maybe it could have worked out. Maybe Shampoo would stay in cat form for a while and do this
Yeah,
whole
yeah, poor
yeah
her. Like she couldn't have predicted that.
yeah
But like, yeah, so Ryoga now falls in love with Akane as her pet. And over the next couple of arcs, like during the fight with Kodachi, with the rhythmic gymnastics, like Ryoga shows up. Like they even make a joke about it. Like he overhears what's happening in pig form, then he leaves, and we get the joke of like Akane's dad in the bath, and the pig just jumps in, and then this naked boy pops out and walks out with no explanation.
yeah.
And Soul's just kind of like staring, like, okay,
There's enough explode
sure.
things in the house. This is just one of the many.
Yeah, like I don't think he's even met Ryoga. I don't think like at this point, like Ranma's been here for like 1 week. I don't think it's really dawned on him how these cursed springs work, because otherwise I don't think he'd be happy with this teenage boy cuddling up with his daughter in pig form every night.
Yeah, I think this might be
So
his
I
first introduction with Ryoga. Like
yeah.
it's just
So
a
like
pig. Yeah, a pig turned into a
yeah, so
boy and just walked
from
out.
his perspective it's just something weird happened. Okay. I've seen weirder these
Yeah,
past few days.
yeah. I guess it wasn't important. But let's move on.
But yeah, just like the first time we see it, we get this cycle of Ryoga is Peachan the pig. He gets to hear when Akane's having a problem so that he can then leave, turn back into a boy, and then show up and be like, "Hello, Akane. I'm just randomly passing by. You seem to be in trouble. Let me help." That's that seems to be what he's doing over the next. couple of arcs is just sort of taking advantage of the fact that he lives here so he can just sort of pretend to be a knight in shining armor and help out Akane whenever she needs something. Um, and then eventually he just stops showing up. They don't really explain that. It's like Rumiko Takahashi just kind of forgets about him. We don't even see him as Pichan anymore. It's just the other stuff happens. Now Shampoo is here. Now we got this other stuff to deal with. And then eventually, after all the stuff is settled, we get the breaking point arc, which that's the one I described, where like it opens with Ryoga coming back to town. The implication is that at some point he left because he needs to train. He needs to get stronger to defeat Ranma. But meanwhile, Ranma's been dealing with Cologne, this incredible, like this like 200-year-old Amazon warrior who knows everything and having to defeat her. Ranma's been through stuff, and like Ryoga shows up. He can't do anything, and we get the joke where Ranma's like, Ryoga, did you get weaker? You know, because from Ranma's perspective, it's like, wow, Ryoga used to put up a fight. Now I could just beat him easily. And despite the fact that like Ryoga has been training, he has gotten stronger. It's just that Ranma got even more stronger. So now we get the point where Ryoga's like, I need to get even stronger. And this is a bit strange. I think this is the one time Cologne does this. She kind of concludes that like Ranma needs a rival. It's not entirely explicit. Uh, she's kind of maybe hoping this will like influence Ranma in a positive way because she
Right.
still thinks of Ranma as her future son-in-law. You know, he's gonna marry Shampoo. At this point, you know, Shampoo and her grandma, her whole family are like, yeah, of course Ranma's gonna marry Shampoo. We just got here, but you know, he can't say no forever. So like, she's kind of treating Ranma like family. Ranma needs someone to like Cologne understands the relationship between two rivals. A rival is someone who challenges you to get better. If Ranma gets stronger and nobody else is keeping up with him, we get this moment where Rama doesn't even realize he's gotten stronger. He just thinks everyone else is weaker. He's not
Right.
even trying. So Cologne concludes Ranma needs a rival. He needs someone to keep up with him. So now she starts to train Ryoga, and we get his first major signature move, the breaking point, which is basically he pokes something and it explodes, but it only works
It's
on
pretty.
like rocks or something.
It's still pretty cool. I mean, you touch something, it just explodes from like its core. Even though it's rocks,
Yeah,
like it's still really useful.
yeah. In the training montage, like Cologne is like, I need you to shatter that rock, and Ryoga like punches it and it breaks, but then she hits him over the head. She's like, I didn't say break it, I said shatter it. The rock needs to shatter into a million pieces. And that's the move. And of course, the joke is that Ranma doesn't know that it only works on like rocks and concrete and stuff. So, like, Ranma's just panicking. What happens if he learns that move and uses it on me?
Look, if someone
Um,
shatters a boulder in front of me, I'm gonna expect him to do the same thing to me, and have it explicitly work. So yeah, I would be terrified too.
yeah, so like this whole arc is just Ranma and Ryoga both trading. It's exactly what Cologne wanted. Like, the threat of Ryoga has encouraged Ranma to better himself and become an even stronger martial artist. Um, and you know, he does this by having his dad throw a beehive at him, and he has to fight off the individual bees. Because you know that's how Ranma trains.
It's yep, that's anything goes. We gotta dodge these bees and beat this earth shattering technique of breaking boulders with your single finger.
Yeah,
Yep.
but and then by the end, Ranma wins because, it only works on rocks. So like Ryoga's gotten stronger, of course. He can make rocks explode now, but like that's not gonna instantly defeat Ranma. So Ranma still wins, and then Ryoga leaves. And here's where we now establish his cycle of he will show up, he will challenge Ranma, and he'll probably stick around for a bit just to like cuddle with Akane in pig form, but eventually he's gonna conclude that like he's been here too long, he has to train. And for Ryoga, training just means wandering. Just go out there somewhere, get stronger. He
Yeah,
doesn't
very
seem to have a training regimen. Yeah.
it's pretty anything goes martial arts esque, where I'm just gonna go out there and somehow I'm gonna find my way to get stronger, any means necessary.
Yeah. There's an actual filler episode in the anime where like I forget the reasoning, but like Genma is disappointed in Ranma and he's like, I'm gonna find a new student. From now on, Ryoga is my son. I'll teach him. He'll be the one to inherit the anything goes school of martial arts.
I mean,
And like Ryoga's just confused at this point because like I get he knows Ranma's dad. It's not like they ever talk to each other, and now this dad is just like, you have to do this. We have to train.
worthy successor. I mean, I don't know what to say. Everyone else has their like own thing going on, but Ryoga, yeah, make it get stronger. Yep.
So like no one ever really questions why Pichan always disappears at the exact same rate that Ryoga does. But like that's what happens. Ryoga will show up, he'll just hang out for a bit, he'll fight Ranma, he'll hang out with Akane because he has a crush on her, and then he'll go back to traveling to get stronger. And along the way, he'll like write her letters, he'll send her souvenirs. I think that one chapter where we find out that he does have a house and actual parents, I think they imply that like his dad was a travel agent
Oh,
or something cuz his parents are also constantly getting lost. Like he gets to his house and it's covered in like sticky notes that like he and his parents leave for each other cuz they're constantly missing each other. They keep getting lost and don't know their way back home.
I mean, I guess it runs in the family.
Yeah, but that's the cycle of Ryoga. And I find that interesting because as I said, he has two things he cares about, Ranma and Akane, but even his affections for Akane always relate back to Ranma. No matter how much he loves Akane and wants to win her affection, he will inevitably leave and go back to training. He refuses to sit still and just enjoy the rest of his life as a pig, or hell, even just be a friend to Akane. He doesn't have to be a pig. He can just, ask Akane on a date. He could just be a normal teenage boy again. He can go back to school.
He could go back to school, which I don't know. Again, like it seems like he kind of lost the point of fighting Rama very early on. Where, hey, like I know, like Rama won initially, kind of, or the fight got interrupted, so it's even hard to tell. But like during that time, they were kind of going like 50-50. Like no one's really like winning by like a landslide or anything. They both had to try more or less equally.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But like, unfortunately, like, yeah, he eventually reaches this point where like I don't know if he even remembers how this rivalry started.
Yep. Just
Like all he cares about is beating Ranma. He doesn't care why he's doing this or, like what else is important. Again, he loves Akane. He wants to spend time with her, but clearly he wants to beat Ranma more because he keeps leaving her and not going to school, not making any friends. He's dedicating his entire life to getting stronger just so that he can beat Ranma. And again, we don't even know if he even cares about martial arts. If he were to somehow beat Ranma, I could imagine him like never throwing a punch the rest of his life because he doesn't care. He did the one thing he wanted.
he would have gave it all up and maybe go back to being Pichon or school. I don't know. He kind of doesn't have much going on other than Rama's rival at the end of the day, or potential love
Yeah.
interest Akane. It's hard to pinpoint, like, does he even like stuff? What does Ryoga like? Does he have a favorite food? What's his favorite pastime? Does he like going on walks? We don't know. He's just Rama's
Yeah.
rival, and that's kind of where it's left at. And even being that, he's not even really brought up too much in the story after a while. There's like other rivals in line past Ryoga, even though he is the
Yeah.
main one.
Yeah, like I said, uh, because he's constantly getting lost, it's really easy to just introduce him to a story. He's just hanging out. Like, he'll think he's like hundreds and hundreds of miles away, and then he pops out of a bush and finds out he's like 5 feet from Ranma's house.
Right.
And like, oh, well, I guess he's here now. Like I said, there's like 50 chapters between his two first major storylines, but he's present in between those two storylines just as a side character. He's not the main focus, but he's still around. We still get some episodes where he is just hanging out as a pig in between his training. This is just where he comes to rest, I guess. He'll spend like a couple weeks traveling and then, time to take a break. I'll just chill here in Akane's room for a couple of days. And that seems to be his whole life now.
Yeah, it's kind of Ryoga in a nutshell. I mean, even like further down, like the other storylines, he's still like finding a new martial art, and now he's gonna go back and try to best ramen with it.
Yeah. So I guess the last thing I want to touch on is like, what does this mean for Ranma? Because Ryoga is very dumb. He's very like loudmouth and angry. He very quickly loses the plot. But what about the opposite? Because over time, like, it becomes very clear that, like, even though neither of them would admit it, Ryoga is basically Rama's best friend.
Yeah, he's the other only male character that actually, besides his dad, the only like I guess like same age character that Rama has that close a relationship with that is also his peer in terms of strength. There's not much
Yeah,
else that Rama could go. I mean, the rest of the cast is kind of like here and there, but Ryoga is kind of like the only person that can see him eye to eye that is at his
yeah,
level. And I don't know how. I guess like in the beginning they were just fighting just because they're fighting, but silently their friendship kind of grew, and then there was I remember the arc where I think it was the I don't know what you call it, but he had this like silly cartoon character on his like belly,
yeah.
and
The
then
like,
yeah,
yeah. I was actually gonna bring that one up next because I feel that arc is kind of the perfect example of like where Ram and Ryoga's relationship ends up. We saw this from Ryoga's perspective, but now from Rama's perspective. Cause like from the very beginning, again, Rama didn't even remember Ryoga. He doesn't personally see this as like, oh, I did a terrible thing to this boy and now he wants to kill me. It's just like, oh, that's just some guy. Ranma like buys bread and offers them to Ryoga, like, hey man, my bad. Here
yeah,
you
like
go. I'm sorry.
they seem to be like Rama seemed to be pretty friendly, even like beginning and like continuing the relationship. Like they only fought because that's what they do. Like Rama likes to fight, and Ryoga's angry. Like that's what they're gonna do. But
Yeah,
past
Rama
that, yeah,
Rama fights Ryoga because Ryoga wants to fight Ranma. Of
yeah,
course, if someone challenges him, Rama's going to fight him back, but
of
Rama doesn't
course,
seem to care about this rivalry.
yeah.
This is
But
just the guy that keeps coming after me, and it's kind of annoying, so I'm going to mess with him, but like, it's nothing personal.
it's the thing you do. But like past that, like they are friends. Like they say, hey man, my bad. Here you go. Here's some bread. Make a bread. Can we like just move on? No. Okay, let's get this over with then. And afterwards, we're hey, you know what? I kind of have to help him. I don't know. He's like not helpless, but like, he's the only guy I kind of am that close with, and like vice versa. We did stuff together. I guess we hung out. I mean, if you considering like you know getting in a scuffle every time we see each other, hanging out, yeah. But silently their relationship kind of grew, and they became, like you said, best. If not best friends, at least like the most they know each other well enough to help each other out. their
Yeah,
situation.
and
Yeah,
like even once they're like friendlier, like Ryoga again, he treats every minor slight as like a personal attack. Whereas most of the time, Rama's just kind of messing Ryoga because it's fun.
it's fun.
Like he
He
just
takes
thinks
it
it's
too
funny.
seriously.
I think one of my favorite examples is like they're fighting and like Rama's clothes gets cut off and he's in girl form. So Ryoga gets embarrassed. He's like, "Hey, cover up!" And Rama's like, "Oh right, sorry." And then Ryoga turns around and then after a while, you hear Rama's like, "Okay, I'm good now. You can look." And then he turns around, and Rama's still naked. And Ryoga just freaks out, like, "Ah!" And Rama's just like laughing, is like, "Ah!"
He fell for it.
Literally just messing with this guy. Cause like, yeah, Rama doesn't think of Ryoga. Like, Rama doesn't hate Ryoga. He's just this guy that shows up. We're friends now, I guess. That's like it's such a common joke too. Whenever everyone teams up against a major threat, and Rama's like, "Wow, guys, you really do care. These are my friends." And then we see their thought bubbles, where like Ryoga's like, "I can't wait to like betray Ranma." Or like Shampoo's like, "This will be a perfect opportunity to murder Akane. This I can't wait to do that." Like none of them ever do it, but it's just this common running gag where Ranma thinks that these people love him. We're all friends. While they're all secretly thinking of how to betray each other. But at the end of the day, that's kind of what makes them friends in the first place. This is just kind of typical teenage behavior.
Right. It's bring it back. It's delinquent manga esque. There's these group of troubled teens that just held together by a very thin plot element, and later on they just decide that you know what, I spent pretty much a quarter of my life hanging out and just like interacting with you. You might as well be my best friends, like just by proximity.
Yeah,
Yeah,
like they do care each other.
they do.
And like the arc you mentioned, which I also don't know what to call it, but like it's a perfect example because there is an arc where basically Ryoga helps out this guy who has like a magic calligraphy brush. And it's like, as thanks for saving me, I will use one of my magic calligraphy sigils that will make you into the strongest man in the world. And the joke is that like it works, but like you expect this calligraphy guy to draw something dignified, like a character for something, but instead he draws this like stupid little smiley face that looks ugly, and it's this ridiculous thing on Ryoga's chest at all times. So now Ryoga's like, "I hate this, I want to get it off, I don't care how strong it makes me." And we just get like most of the arc where like Ryoga explains the only way to come off is if he loses in a match. So he challenges Ranma, but Ranma can't beat him. The power of the magic calligraphy is too strong. And now, like, this is the first example of why this arc really shows their relationship very well because Ryoga seems so disappointed.
Oh, he was
Like,
distraught. He was so upset.
between that, I once mentioned in a previous episode the arc where Ranma becomes weak and Ryoga is just like, "I can't bear to see Ranma like this. This is so sad. I don't even want to fight him. How can I fight someone who can't defend himself?" Like Ryoga wants to beat Ranma. He wants to prove that he's better. It doesn't count if he has to rely on this magic thing that makes him so powerful that Ranma can't even touch him. It leaves him distraught. He hates it. He hates this doodle, despite the fact that it makes him win.
I just want to bring up that I think any other character would have taken this and ran with it just because they don't care how silly it looks. I am the strongest being alive.
Definitely. I think they even make that joke. They even make that joke once in like a fight with Moose. Where like at one point Akane points out like, "Hey, Ranma, if you pretend to lose, Moose wins Shampoo. You can get rid of both of them." And then
Oh,
eventually
sick!
Ranma's like,
Like, oh, you're right, you're right! Like, oh, I'm gonna totally do it.
yeah, and then Ranma eventually is like, "No, I can't do it. It's not honorable." And he's even like, "Listen, Moose, I'm really sorry. I haven't been taking this fight seriously. I was gonna throw it. I didn't think about how you would feel about that. It probably hurts your pride learning that I was going easy on you and I was gonna let you win. I'm really sorry, I'm not gonna do that. But Moose is like, what? No, that sounds great. Let me win. I don't care.
Dude, I'm gonna give him
Go on, throw
shampoo.
the
Like,
fight, throw the
dude,
fight.
let's throw it. Bro, sell, dude. Sell. Bro, I need you to
Like,
sell.
like literally, like if you think my pride is gonna hold me back, I do not care about my pride. I care about winning.
I care about
And
winning
that's
and shit. Yeah, yeah, exactly.
yeah, Ryoga is the opposite. Ryoga is a proud Saiyan warrior who wants to best Ranma. It's not about winning, it's about proving that he's better. So,
Yeah, which is kind of again, counter, not counterproductive, but goes against the point because it's the anything goes martial arts. Like, it's kind of in the name to scheme and scam your way into victory, and now you're having this like moral dilemma of like I gotta do it honorably, but like none of your moves are honorable. You're
yeah,
like, yeah, you're
again, that's kind of how like the other practitioners of anything goes fight. Like Genma will do whatever it takes. But despite that, Ranma is still an honorable fighter. Ranma will still fight fair. That entire sequence with Moose, like Ranma is showing empathy towards this opponent. He stops the fight because he realizes that if someone let him win in this manner, he would be humiliated. He doesn't want a fake hollow victory. He wants an honorable win, which is just kind of funny that like that's not what they were taught. I guess that's a good sign that like these two boys who are constantly encouraged to take whatever victory they can get by any means, it's anything goes, but they're both still honorable. They both still want a clean victory. Clearly, like I said, neither of them would admit it, but they're best friends. This is maybe one of the healthiest relationships they have
this
with
is the
other people.
healthiest
Look at
male relationship in the show. This is
and
the
that
healthiest relationship.
and that of course leads to the rest of the arc because, Ranma genuinely wants to help Ryoga. Like part of it is he wants to win, obviously, but also he clearly goes out of his way to help his buddy
Yeah, he's
because one of the big issues is that this little calligraphy mark persists even in pig form. So now Ryoga's worried that Akane might see the mark on Pichan and recognize that that's Ryoga's thing and put two and two together.
I mean, she was
Um,
pretty close, even like with like the comedic aspect. Oh, like he has to be really slow to find out because yeah, let's
yes,
draw out the joke
it
more.
is it is constantly getting these close calls to the point where like in the anime this was a two-parter and the first episode ends on the cliffhanger of like Akane saw the mark on Ryoga and like the last scene is just her in bed being like, Why do Pichon and Ryoga have the same mark? No, it couldn't be." And it's this tense moment of like, uh-oh, she's figuring it out. Tune in next week to see what happens.
Right? Yeah.
And like throughout the whole arc, Ranma is covering for Ryoga. He is coming up with excuses of like, oh, that was me. I was practicing calligraphy on Pichan. Whoops. Sorry. He's actively trying to find ways to like scheme his way to beating Ryoga so they can get rid of the mark, which is how they eventually find out that like if Ryoga is like squishing his belly and like distorting the image like a tattoo, it doesn't work. So like Ranma accidentally hits him while he's kneeled over, and now they have to find a way to like, no, bend it this way. No, not like that. Do it like this. But like Ranma's helping. He doesn't have to. He doesn't have to keep Ryoga's secret. He's like, why is he covering for Ryoga?
Yeah, this is a
Like,
lot of legwork for Rama because he's doing this around the clock.
yeah. And like, Ranma's constantly complaining. He's making fun of Ryoga for lying to Akane, for pretending to be her pet. Like, if Ryoga got caught, to be honest, he'd have it coming.
Yeah, yeah.
It, but Ranma helps him anyways, even though he doesn't have to. And we even get like what there's like 5 different instances of Ranma disguising himself as a girl to mess with Ryoga. Despite the fact that Ryoga is probably more familiar with Ranma's girl transformation than any of the other rivals, he still falls for it.
I mean, he's written as the dumb, get lost, like, lost everywhere character, so I guess it works out. Like, you can, see it happen.
Yeah, but like, yeah, Ranma will like do whatever he can, even resorting to his favorite technique of like the Bugs Bunny style dress and drag and make Elmer Fudd lower his guard while you hit him with a hammer. He just does
Yeah,
that
yeah.
to Ryoga. And all sorts of things just to try and get some kind of edge and erase this mark. And it's just interesting. In the end, they get rid of it. But the joke is that like it turns out this is the example we get where like sometimes they'll rent out the dojo. Where like there's like a neighborhood association, they want to throw a little party, and then like Ranma and Ryoga are in the back of the dojo. They get rid of the mark, and then the curtains open while Ryoga's like rubbing his belly weird and doing a little dance in celebration. And then they're just like, hey guys, we're here to entertain you. Da, 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 da. Just like once again, like Rama is covering for Ryoga. He has to make these excuses, or else Akane's gonna get suspicious.
I mean, she
And
already,
in the
yeah.
end,
He's just, like, so close to solving the mystery.
yeah, and then of course in the end she's like, "Oh, that's why they were practicing for their little show for the neighborhood association. That's why Ranma was drawing on Pichan and he drew the same thing on Ryoga. Okay, I get it now."
Yeah.
And all's well that ends well. Nobody finds out his secret. Ranma helped out his friend, and now they can go back to the status quo of Ryoga leaving to try and come back and defeat Ranma because he still cares about that.
And Rama waiting patiently for one day where Yoga would come back stronger than ever to rival the anything goes. And actually, yeah, he doesn't even like if he wins. That's just a personal victory. It's not like he's gonna inherit the dojo. He's gonna get with a or that's like an other thing. Like he's just doing it for like just the honorable sport.
Yeah,
Yeah,
for Ryoga, it's just spite. He
yeah,
just wants to beat Ranma. He just hates Ranma so much. But like again, Ranma will go out of his way to help Ryoga. Like all those jokes about whenever everyone else helps Ranma, but they're secretly planning to betray him. Like Ranma never does the same for anyone else. Ranma, despite his flaws, seems to genuinely think of them as his friends. Ryoga is his buddy. He will help him out and, eventually Ryoga's gonna come back and try and beat him up, but that's just what Ryoga does. These are, it is literally, as you point out, delinquent logic. We are both kids who have had, a rough life. This is the most positive interaction we have is with each other. So even though you really get on my nerves and I kind of hate you sometimes, you're still my friend and I will help you. And I think that is why that arc is like the perfect example of this rival dynamic and how like it's not that it's one-sided, but it's more that like the two of them have completely different dynamics with each other that have zero overlap.
it is really like the stark contrast. They are Goku and Vegeta, the other side of the coin, but they fight for the same thing, but they fight for different reasons.
Yeah, they both fight because of like their pride, but it's different
It's
flavors of
yeah,
pride. One of them is just like he wants to live a carefree life. Rama would probably not care if Ryoga stopped challenging him. He'd probably welcome that because that means he wins.
yeah.
Rama proved himself better.
He'll one
But for
win and
Ryoga,
get
that's
less
not
work.
an
Yeah, that's not option.
Ryoga, it's not an option. He will keep coming back no matter how many times he loses. And even when he does win, he might not accept it because it wasn't a fair victory. He has to win for real. And these are like two different dynamics that like Ra- sometimes I wonder if Rama even realizes how much Ryoga hates him
I
and how much this means to him. Like Ranma is probably just like Ryoga's weird. I don't know, whatever. He's complaining, but he'll come back.
it's Ryoga would like fight with Rama, but like Rama will see like, oh, he's just mad because I'm picking on him because he does pick like mess with Ryoga like every chance he gets, but he doesn't realize that like this is like his life goal is to trounce Rama, but in the way like he imagines. I don't know which how like you want to set up like an actual like fighting tournament, and then everyone has to like gather around like, oh, they're doing it legally. There are no like hidden tricks or any like parlor you know like was it like the Chinese movies where like they stomp their feet and then there's like a hidden blade in their shoes.
Ah, yeah,
Yeah, like none of
I've
that.
I've seen that.
Yep, none of that. Just straight, just bare hands, bare feet, and then they're gonna fight, and then whoever comes out on top wins. But
I don't
yeah,
I
we,
don't
we
think
get that.
Ryoga would ever accept a victory. I don't think there's any example where like he would be like, "Well, me and Ranma have settled our differences. I am the victor. Now I can move on with my life." Like
Yeah,
he may not
yeah,
realize it, but I don't think anything will ever satisfy him.
yeah. It's Rama's Moby Dick and Ryoga's Captain Ahab. Just
Yeah,
forever. Yep.
I keep saying that for Ranma it was Tuesday. For Ryoga, every day is Monday, and he hates Mondays.
He hates Mondays. That's just he lives to live to live past Monday and never to return. But yeah, Rama's just whatever. It's just another like villain, like rival in line from like the 10 other things my dad helped me set up. Like it's whatever. Like this, maybe this Ryoga's kind of cooler than the rest of the other guys. The other guys are weirdos, but Ryoga's kind of straightforward.
Yeah,
Yeah.
despite his flaws, it is still a healthier relationship than, say, what Rama has with Moose or Tatuaki Kudo or any of these other weirdos.
Yeah, because isn't like Kuno have like this the double one like with Rama as a male like the rival in male form, but also as a love interest in Rama as a female form.
Yeah, none of the Kuno family ever seems to figure out that both versions of Ranma are the same person,
Right, and
which
then
leads to comedic hijinks.
comedic hijinks ensues, and then Kodachi's the same thing where Rama is the love interest in male form, and then the rival to death in female form. So
Yeah,
as for
and
your yoga, it's the healthiest, straightforward relationship. They understand each other at a base level of like you're kind of annoying. We have to fight, but yay, yay.
yeah. And like again, like going back to that joke of like Gedma's dad walking in on these two kids naked in the bath together while Ranma's in girl form. It's a joke, but like, yeah, Ranma is clearly more comfortable with Ryoga than anyone else. Like, he will literally be naked in girl form and just have a casual conversation. If anything, he thinks it's funny if when Ryoga gets embarrassed, because
Yeah,
for Ranma, he's just hanging out with the guys. Ryoga isn't going to like try and grab Ranma or molest him like Tatuaki Kuno would. Ryoga, no matter what form Ranma is in, will always treat Ranma like one of the guys. You are
yep,
the guy I must beat. It doesn't matter if you're in girl form, I will fight you. And
yep,
for Ranma, that's probably the most respectable thing anyone's ever done to him.
yeah. It's because everyone else like would freak out or just try to take advantage of this situation, but not Ryoga. My boy flies straight. My boy just wants a fair fight.
Yeah, at least with Ranma,
At least.
he has more questionable actions when it comes to other characters like Akane, but at least his relationship with Ranma is a healthy one. Rel- Relatively healthy's maybe not the word, but
In context of the show, that's as much as you can ask for.
it's about as much as you can ask.
Yeah.
I don't think Ryoga would ever be able to move on. He does not have the emotional intelligence, but at least they have some kind of common ground, keeping them in a relatively stable place that they could potentially carry on the rest of their lives. I'm now imagining like when they're older and like the two of them would absolutely have their toddlers fight each other in a competition or something.
Yeah, this they'll be training them. It's like, oh, you gotta remember, son, you gotta beat Uncle Ryoga's son because I said so, and also, he did this one thing when I was a kid, and I never let it go.
Yep.
Yep.
And you know, Rama will probably think it's funny to do that, whereas Ryoga would probably think it is the biggest personal slight ever to mess with his family, and it will just make him angrier, which just encourages Rama even more because it just makes it funnier.
Yep. It's like, son,
And
go.
and that's their relationship in a nutshell.
Yeah, and I don't think it ever evolved past that, right? It kind of just
Not
got
really,
built.
no.
Yeah, it got built up to that point, and then it's kind of stayed there until the conclusion of the series. That's just kind
Yeah,
of it. Yeah.
even at the conclusion, like it's not like their relationship changes afterwards.
No.
We have no reason to assume that Ryoga would stop repeating this endless cycle at any time soon. Everyone still has their, continuing status quo. It doesn't change. They don't evolve. But Ryoga and Ranma is one of the few ones where I can actually picture them in this status quo the rest of their lives and be like, you know what, that's fine. That's not too bad.
Yeah,
I suppose that's the most we can ask of these characters.
that's the bare minimum we can expect from these characters, that they understand each other at a personal level and you come to a conclusion of, all right, you know what? I guess you're just here now. Let's, come stick around. We'll hang out when we can hang out, but if not, then we'll see each other next time.
Yeah,
Yeah.
it's not unlike hosting a podcast.
No.
There we go. Just we'll talk about whatever weird thing pops up, and that's just how it goes. You know what? I would listen to Ranma and Ryoga's podcast.
Yeah, I think I
I'll
would
be
too.
honest.
Yeah.
Yeah,
They
and
might.
I suppose. Yeah,
I was gonna say they might like talk for 2 to 5 minutes and then just spend the rest of the 30 minutes fighting each other.
yeah. The people would complain about it being audio, and then they would get footage of them fighting for the next part, and then it becomes popular.
Yeah, and it's like, oh my god, you hear about this podcast where they just hate each other? Like, no, they like really hate each other. They're just throwing
They
chairs and like tables, and this guy's
they
like,
can shoot energy beams.
yeah, this guy's like brought down his own like studio by like being really sad. Like he was like really sad, and then suddenly it cuts to like just a land like a land fill, or just the house is in complete shatters, and like he's still sad, but like what happened?
I like how like I was getting ready to segue into the closing of this episode, and then I realized like we've mentioned this move of Ryoga's like 3 times and still provided zero context. And I think it's funnier to keep it that way for now. That's just kind of how it is. At some point, Ryoga just gets a move where he can shoot energy beams, and it's more powerful the more depressed he is.
Yep,
That's just how it works. There's no explanation. That's just how the move works, and that's something he can do now.
yep, he found
I
it.
think that's all the context you need.
Yeah, he just has like a bag of tricks, which is the last character you expect to have.
Yeah,
Yeah,
but maybe we can break that down at a later date. But for now, I think the dichotomy of the shonen rivalries, the what I'm calling the pre-Vegeta shonen rivalries, I think has been successfully broken down. I think we have a good idea of how these two boys interact.
yeah. I don't think I have anything more to say, and if I do, we're probably going to talk about Goku and Vegeta in the end because there's not much more to talk about other than you have two dudes, just two dudes existing side by side each other, and then one dude step on the other guy's shoe, and there we go, lifelong rivalry. There's nothing
Yeah,
more. Yep,
and as you said at the start, that is what makes Ryoga the most important love interest. Screw Akane.
yep. That's
Clearly, this is
because
who belongs together.
girls and boys don't really understand each other other than boys and boys understand each other that, hey, you did this one thing that pissed me off, and now we must spend the rest of our lives trying to atone for it.
Akane will never understand Ranma in that exact same way. You are absolutely correct. Anyways, I'm running out of paper, so I need to finish up this letter sometime soon. But hopefully, everyone listening to this had a fun time reading it. They most certainly did not listening it. That's just our voices in your head. You're doing a good job, by the way.
Yeah,
But
very, very spooky
I hope
ghost.
you can all tune in sometime next time. I'll probably find some other means of communicating. This whole paper thing, not very efficient. But until then, thanks for listening, everyone.
Oh, I forgot to mention. Hi, I'm Swarley again. Forgot to mention my name. I just wanted to be a good time to point it out by the end of the show. Hi, and also bye bye.
I'm Elena.